Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Look, I keep it low to the T. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet, got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother way. Tell him get the fuck off the beach. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Nigga, come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Man, this shit is too easy. I'm on gold, but they don't believe me. You know I'm winning with the team. Screaming Vinny, 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 VJ. Hear them devils screaming out bloody murder. I'm about to close the curtain. Mama grind, bitch, and work. Sorry, all them lies, it ain't working. Them niggas weak, they be turgid. I'm a West nigga, that's for certain. If he cross the line, I'ma back up and I'ma hit his ass with his virus. And I come through 300 strong, 144 Leonidas. All my niggas we eat. I'm in this bitch with the itis. Say all y'all do the sweet. Tell y'all let's do the street. If a nigga made the wrong move, he make his ass out the league. He ain't one of us, hit the lead. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas go retreat. Go ahead. Look, I keep it low to the T. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet, got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother wave. Tell him get the fuck off the beach. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Nigga, come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat.
You see this look that's on my face, bitch, I'm for real with it. I hit the streets, put on my cleats, was in the field with it. You soft as cotton, just an actor, Uncle Phil with it. And then my target's on the move, but I can still hit it. Hey, I speak true cause it's necessary. Gullah Jack revolutionary. Cold on them like January. Commander General is a visionary. Soul food, no sweets. Your preacher man, he's sweet. Matter of fact, he weak. It's wartime for peace. Think you hard, nigga, you ain't. Fuck with us, nigga, you can't. You smart cars, we pace. We form up in ranks. We body bag this rap shit. All black, no bright shit. Real life, no cap, bitch. Fall on them, that's cap shit.
I keep it low to the T. UBK play for keeps. Ain't shit sweet, got soldiers on deck, and my youngin' did a sweep. This a whole nother wave. Tell him get the fuck off the beach. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Nigga, come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. I'm in the field with the cleats. He ain't one of us, he a breach. Come through all black gully jack, man. All them niggas gon' retreat. Go ahead.
There's pressure that comes with the block. You could end up inside of a box when you get your knob buzzed by a op after getting set up by a thought. Opportunity, it doesn't knock. No, that sound right there be the cops. Yep. And all of that stress that we talking still beats punching the clock. You think I wanna sweep your floor from 8 to 4? Fuck, I wanna take your orders for when your favorite star got an Audemars that's worth more than mama's car. Type of shit make you wanna say fuck the law. When your rent's due and your piss poor, nigga, we don't even own our own corner store. So quarter waters cost a quarter more, huh? Wanna be an entrepreneur? We want sign checks. We want work for ourselves. We want own the nets. You're too much of a threat when you're on your own assets. So the only thing they show us is how to be an outlet. So we won't connect. They say hi like hola. Listen to Hova. Whip up a Rover. Been watching Power. Tommy and Ghost bruh. So I need some powder. Fish scale and soda for 99 cents.
It's hard to repent when you gotta pay rent. Baking soda's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, oh, make it make sense. Baking soda's only 99 cents. It's hard to repent when you gotta pay rent. Baking soda's only 99 it make sense, love, make it make sense, yeah. You see the money is a motive. Repeat my history, crack cocaine is like the motif. It's plain and simple, way back then my mother hustled. It's in my blood, so I feel like it's time to grind, just like the times when niggas lie. Hold up, back then was the bad days. Motherfuckers push mad weight, I was a crack baby. Tell me nothing about my mother and the struggle. See, I love it in this fucking trying to smoke when she hustle. Selling everything in the house, goddamn. She ain't give a damn about a spouse, goddamn. So my oldest brother had to man up, had to take care of us in the piece with 4 kids. And one on the way with no clip, no food in the fridge, on some post shit. Got food stamps from the neighbors. Ty work, he ain't ask no favors. Late night, he was shot bodegas. Over bread and some meat, some mayo. Kool-Aid had about 4 flavors. And when time went to cash out, Aki lashed out. Told him he'd take food stamps. $15 for that kid, fuck all that shit. Then the young nigga noticed that he could be the coldest. Take back what they owed us, whole world on the shoulders. No food in the kitchen but the stove work. $10 in the sack and he points to the back, say, aight, let me get that soda. 99 cents. It's hard to repent when you gotta pay rent. Baking soda's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, oh, make it make sense. Baking soda's only 99 cents. It's hard to repent when you gotta pay rent. Baking soda's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, oh, make it make sense, yeah.
So let me get this shit straight. So I gotta go take out loans to go to school, to get a job, just to pay for the loans I took out in the first place? I'm looking at this arm and hammer like I should have a hammer in my arm right goddamn now. Shit ain't make no sense. Lord, make it make sense. Goddamn.
Baking soda's only 99 cents. Hey, it's hard to repent when you gotta pay rent. Baking soda's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, oh, make it make sense. Baking soda's only 99 cents. It's hard to repent when you gotta pay rent. Baking soda's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, oh, make it make sense, yeah.
You don't want no problems, my brothers, they stand around me on point like equal dollar. Don't make the wrong move or face the repercussions. Just keep bluffing and give me a reason for me to flush it. My people lusting after the serpent and he beguiled you. Wicked niggas just keep on sinning like we allowed to. 400 plus years of being in chains. They took the yoke up off our neck and put it straight on our brains. So what's changed? There's no new thing under the sun. They still slaughter us, die by the knee and scared of the gun. It's open season, murderers, killers for no reason. It's my people I love, I ain't fucking with no heathen. I don't wanna meddle, my niggas, we still oppressed. We just went from a pot to a kettle. One West rebel, pressure bust pipes or a blood vessel. You know the white man is the devil. This truth will never stop teaching. UPK soldiers in every region. Right now is the time and the season. No heathens, no heathens. Death before the sun or no treason. One West until a nigga stop breathing. Kwam Yashala, we screaming. No heathens, no heathens. Death before the sauna, we living through trauma. Under commanding General Yohana, this army is stronger. We on the front line, ready to die for this truth. While the white man kissing our boots. And I don't never see none of you cowards when the work is getting started. Cause year of your father, the serpent in the garden, they plotting and scheming. We going through curses, fighting demons. Give a fuck about a flat earth while my people out here feeding pain and anguish. Because the gates thereof language scattered abroad. We was given another language, plus we living at the bottom. Supposed to be on top. When it stop, get killed by the hands of these wicked cops. Lacing our boots, ready for war. This is One West, and we are not affiliated. Nigga, fuck the rest. Me and my brother just want a ball. Shout out to ICR, and we some warlords. Learned that from Yasha. This truth will never stop teaching. UPK soldiers in every region. Right now is the time and the season. No heathens, no heathens. Death before the sun or no treason.
One West until a nigga stop breathing. Kwam Yashala, we screaming. No heathens, no heathens.
Now let me tell y'all something. Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, we the true Jews of the Bible. We gotta come together and stop fighting against each other, man. Instead of loving these heathens, we need to love each other. That's the only way we gonna win this war against our enemies.
This truth will never stop teaching. UPK soldiers in every region. Right now is the time and the season. No heathens, no heathens. Death before the sun or no treason. One West until a nigga stop breathing. Kwam Yashala, we screaming. No heathens, no heathens.
I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem. As the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew chick. And you do not want tests, I got my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip. Clothed with a garment down to the foot. Lil' mama came back and took another look. Them fringes and them studs probably got her shook. But all I could tell her, I am not a crook. Whole team winning. Can't do it by myself, I brought my whole team with me. Tonight I need some help, I plan on killing these niggas. And I ain't talking murder, shawty feeling these niggas. I know she probably heard of us, One West, Harlem, New York, since 1969. Looking for an Israelite woman that I can get behind. Take her to the promised land, show her good niggas exist. Fuck what her mama saying, you understand? Listen. Fourth dimension blue is my cologne. All I did was say shalom and she offered me a phone number. Especially when I'm in the zone, I tell fire to the moon. Girl, you playing with the wrong. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew chick. And you do not want tests, I got my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip. And you ain't never seen nothing like it with a drip so hard. Made her straight, she was dyking cause a nigga cold as ice and sharper than a knife. I could change your whole life just by making you my wife, man. Look, that nigga got the boots, beard sprays, man. Look, that nigga got the garment with the shades, man. Look, that nigga got the spikes on his armband. And he got the Sheila David on his charm, man. No, I'm not lucky, I'm blessed. Yes, my lady in the dress, they hating, we dead fresh. I'm making their ass sweat with all this masculinity. I can tell she feeling me, my swag on infinity. And this ain't something you can buy. They asking who am I traded in my suit and tie. And I just got a garment from the captain. Catch me in the club smelling like platinum. Catch me in the club smelling like platinum. Catch me in the club smelling like platinum. Smelling like platinum. Smelling like platinum. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew chick. And you do not want tests, I got my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew. Catch me in the club smelling like platinum. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew chick. And you do not want tests, I got my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. Check out my Hebrew drip, my Hebrew drip. You know I'm Hebrew fresh with my Hebrew click. I know you can't understand and I'm on some Hebrew shit. Check out my Hebrew drip. Thy cheeks are comely with rows of jewels, thy neck with chains of gold. We will make thee borders of gold and studs of silver. Hebrew.
According to God, the white man is the devil.
You see, I've been in here for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? And I see niggas, they like to talk a lot, they like to claim leadership, they like to claim this and that. You know what I'm saying? They like to be above what they really is and have authority. But they don't really need that authority, they don't really know what to do with that leadership. You understand? You hold hands with this white man, need to stop and ask you to give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah, everybody ain't with all that. Let bygone be. Boy, ass need to stop it, ass need to prop. It's about to get serious. When they hit us with dope and kill us with crack, where the fuck with your leaders? I'm curious. He cashed out on your blood, traded you in and bought a new biz. Ask you the prophets, I tell you the scheme. If you don't wake up, you gon' die in your dreams. I say you won't tell you no more. I swear these crackers try to kill us slow. Just spoke to a nigga and fed he up for parole. Because of the COVID, it feel like the host in this world that don't go together. Know it's gold in the ghetto. I'm in the city blazing with my niggas. Just told the devil the score never settled. Yeah, see the prophets. I'm tired of these niggas keep talking about, you know, you respect my religion, I respect your religion. Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass need the prophets. You know, like we all come together. Cause you know what I'm saying, they say God so loved the world. God so loved the world and boy, your ass need to stop it, ass need the prophets. Don't give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. Hey, gentlemen, y'all, we don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up. You know what I'm saying? Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass shit. Oh, wrong with step, I'm silent for show. To them fake niggas, stay silent, I got it, let's go. Let's go. I ain't taking no loss, ain't no talking when we got the flow. Ain't no peace, just play with your own. I'ma be loyal to the right arm. Tell him we can't keep it slate. And I can never let bygone be bygone. Got your baby mother on high, got your baby parents through the fire. Ask you the prophets, that made me so belong to the Lord. I dare you about it.
I appreciate that. So you did that, you ease it out. That's kind of a little weird, ease it out. Welcome to another edition of Across the Line Radio, hosted by Captains Tazaryach and Chaataza. Chaataza will be joining us momentarily. I had seen the phone calls was opening up already, so say again? Console what? Yeah, so I've seen the phone lines just open up, so we're going to go ahead and start the show. I believe we may have a debate today. Chaataza going to run that part when he gets here. Against some Old Testament Israelite, who knows what do you want to talk? Old Testament Israelite a little retarded to me, but you know, we'll see how it go. Chaataza, can you talk for a second? I just want to bring something back. This ain't gonna take but 2 seconds. I was just talking about the upcoming debate.
All right, we back. We here. Shalom, y'all. What's going on? We got 3 callers. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get to all the calls tonight because we actually do. And Salaki for not promoting it, but we do have a debate set up. Some Old Testament Israelite is going to call up. We're going to be talking about the validity of the New Testament and also, are we under the New Testament? What testament are we under? It's a beautiful day, right? Yeah. Weather, right? Weather was great. I feel good. All that good stuff. Hope y'all feel good too. And Cap has a sale going on. I think that's 14 days in.
14 days.
So like that's like 40, 36. We got 36 days left of sales.
Let me tell you what he just did. When he said 14 and he slowed it down,
I had to
he wanted
do
to
math.
make sure he got the math.
You know what
down.
I'm saying? So I took 10 off, and then I took another 4. So now I know we're at 36. That's how I do math.
That's right.
36 days
36
left
days
of 20% off.
Savings.
4th dimension. He's got new fragrances.
That's right.
I like a couple of them.
Yeah. I got some more. Listen, man. I feel like a junkie when I be going to the spot. It just scents just become, and they must know I'm coming because when I walk in there, they be like, "Oh, you didn't smell this one. Oh, you didn't smell this." And then when I smell it,
I just realized I
have
got
to
a
make
good
it.
chair.
And let me tell you something. I've never been excited about a mixer.
Okay.
You feel tall?
What?
You feel?
No, I don't feel tall. I feel comfortable.
Do you feel tall?
Listen,
you look a little taller today.
That's
though.
the spirit. You get what I'm saying? I'm a giant in the spirit.
All the short people said that you said that right.
Yeah, I heard that, right?
Get the short people a hand. Get the short people a hand.
I'm glad I can inspire everybody 5'8" and below.
Fred Wong, the beard can't help with your hair growth. But listen, I got a new mixer today.
Oh shit!
I never thought. Really?
Really?
I told you about it.
I'm so sorry.
I told him in the clubhouse I was gonna play the show.
I'll send Zakar 20.
I think I got an adapter in my car. But it's for Android. But I can use my phone.
So,
can somebody run to my car real quick in the middle of the dash?
Yes, a lot.
It's like one of them. Or if anybody has, you know, the adapter you have to have for the audio to come out of the phone. Does anybody have one?
I hate dropping the ball.
Can you check for me real quick? If not, I'll have somebody run to the car. But I got a mixer today. And I've never thought as a man I'd be excited about getting a mixer. But when I make
a mixer.
Like, 'cause you know how to, okay, so you see the machines I have when I make them. So I got a bigger one.
This is the only mixers I know.
I got a bigger one, and I was so excited. I took pictures of it, video.
But now you're gonna have you understand the ratio.
Yeah, I have a better. So like I can make more. Yeah. I was excited about it.
Yo, Cat be whipping in that kitchen.
Real hard.
I went to his trap house.
I ain't talking about a rib right now.
And I don't think it's in there.
Y'all not getting the jokes. Y'all,
I got it.
You're not woke. Y'all not woke. Stay woke.
I am tired.
Stay woke.
I had a long day.
So like I said, with all this, everyone wants to know, did you finally give Captain Chaataza a discount?
I actually gave him a free butter.
Yo, he did actually. He did give me a free butter.
He can't give me. I deserve that. Thank you. He came by the house this last Saturday, right?
Yeah, I was like, how much do I owe you? He's like,
I said nothing. I gave him 100% off.
It's about time.
Yeah.
But you know what? I can't even talk though, because like when this whole fourth dimension thing was just an experiment, like I'll be finding bottles and there's like no label on it, and I'm like, oh, this was the prototype.
Right.
I was like, this.
And he gets all the prototype. He's doing all his whining, but he gets all the prototype.
Yeah, but like the prototypes, like I told you, they're like Lay's chips. It's like they're like missing a quarter. It's all air in the damn thing.
Like when I first made Aphrodisiac, you like the original
the very first one.
Right.
Yes.
Can somebody get my water out the fridge?
That was the best.
Please. Did you get me one? Oh, I forgot. Can somebody get Chaataza's water? That water is for Chaataza.
No, don't do that. I got a Powerade. I'm too up.
A Powerade?
It was. I stopped at a little
Powerade?
stand. Yeah. No.
You was watching Shaq? You
Zero
watching
sugar.
Shaq or something?
Zero sugar.
Powerade?
No sugar.
You ready for take some calls, man? Ashad, no announcements yet. Man, we got. It's called. You talk the call. There's questions online. What's the questions?
The question was, does the ISPK have inmate correspondence, sir?
Who? Inmate?
Inmate correspondence.
Excellent. Yeah, you can give this the little one. I know he feel big, but he's not that big, so I'll take this one.
There a 513 number on?
Here you go.
No, this is you, Cat.
No,
I'm telling you.
I got one. I got one right
already?
here, man. Relax.
Already.
I just said you get the little one. I know you big, but small.
Why you?
Who said
Why
that
you
in the
do
movie?
this
He was
to me?
like big but small. Like what movie was that? Huh?
You got an extra medium? Extra medium?
No, that was in Friday.
Next Friday, yeah.
When Cat Williams was bumming up, he's big but small. He's big but small.
Yeah.
Chaataza, he's big but small.
Yeah.
Big but small.
That. Meanwhile, Cap is a goddamn cedar tree. I seen him outside, like over all the cars, all the vehicles. I'm like, you couldn't hide nowhere, bro. Like,
I'm just standing outside. You're gonna run this
tall as could be.
Whoever. Oh, the inmate correspondence for anybody that has. One thing we do, we go into the prison systems all the time, and so we do correspond. Oh, does somebody go to my car? In the middle of my car, you know what my car looks like? It's when you come out here, it's on the other side. It's on 124th, but it's on the other side. When you turn it, if you lift up the middle of the dash, you're gonna see like a headset. It's gonna have a white end on it, like a light. Yeah, like the white little end on it. All right, like the water. Appreciate it. Inmate. For those that have brothers or sisters that is in prison, we do correspond with inmates. The email that you want to send your emails to is isupkpd@gmail.com. For anyone with an inmate, for inmate correspondence, I think I spelled this word right. I put the link, I put the email in the chat, so anybody got inmate correspondence, I'm glad I logged into Brandy Bridge online. Who am I bringing on? This 513 dude?
That's for the debate.
Okay, so for all the other callers, I'll bring you on shortly. We're gonna bring on 513-295. You're on Cross the Line Radio. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Ezra Maxberry, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
This is the brother for the debate tonight. He is I guess what you classify so-called Old Testament only. And we set up a debate for the validity of the New Testament and are we under the New Testament?
What was there rounds or something? Was
yes.
there one round?
It was 2 rounds, and then I think what was it? Two 10-minute rounds.
10 minutes?
I think 10 minutes. Yeah. Or was it 7?
Okay, we gonna.
Did
Brother,
we say
we gonna,
7 or 10?
I think 7.
Yeah,
We
7.
said 7.
It
I thought so.
doesn't matter to me,
7.
whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it was two.
It's
It was 2
7
7-minute rounds, and then I think 5-minute rebuttal rounds.
Wow. Okay, so brother, you get to go.
He said, "Wow."
You'll get to go first. Well, I will give you an opportunity. This won't count as a round or nothing, but if you could take 60 seconds or so to give a brief introduction so the audience can know where you are, where your premise. I believe the debate is, are we in the New Testament? And what was the second part, first part?
The validity of the New Testament. Are we under the New Testament?
The validity of the New Testament, and are we in the New Testament? So, brother, you can take like 60 seconds just to introduce yourself, and then we'll go into your round, okay?
Yes, sir. My name is Ezra Maxberry. I'm a Karaite Israelite. Karaite meaning I only accept the Tanakh, which is Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim, which is the Torah, the prophets, and the writings, what most people call the Old Testament. I only accept that as authorized and inspired by the Almighty. I reject all the other writings as inspired. I read them as maybe histories, like the Apocrypha or the New Testament. But as far as coming from the Almighty, I say no. And I definitely say we are not under the new covenant at this time.
Okay, and will you explain what we're under if we're not under the new covenant? Will you be explaining what we are under or no?
Not necessarily. If you want me to.
No, I don't. No, I'm just. That was more so just a question, because if we aren't under the New Testament, are you saying we're still under the Old?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes, sir. We're still under the same covenant that was given.
Okay, so are you going to present that we're under that? I'm only saying that so that before you go, the audience could know. Like, we know that you're talking about the validity of the New Testament, but are you going to give the audience anything to substantiate what covenant we're under now?
Well, we're still under the same one that was given to Moses. That's kind of self-explanatory. I don't.
No. Well, you can't.
I didn't prepare anything to say on that. But.
No problem. But the reason why you can't say it's self-explanatory, obviously, because you have other people that believe under the New Testament. That's hence why we're even having this particular debate, because people believe that we're under the New Testament. So I wouldn't say it's self-explanatory, nor am I saying that you have to. It was just a question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my stopwatch, and you're going to have 7 minutes to present your argument that on the validity of the New Testament, right?
Okay, Captain Tazaryach, one question.
Yeah.
Are we going to do 7 on the validity of the New Testament, and then 7 on are we under the new covenant? Are we going? How are we doing this?
Yes, that's exactly how it is. 2 rounds, one for each.
Okay, and the 5-minute rebuttals are we going to do 2 of those or 1 of those? How does that work?
Huh?
Yeah, what we could do is we could do after the 2 7-minute rounds. That'll be like the last. You understand? 5 minutes apiece to rebuttal what was said.
All right, don't sweat it.
Okay. So we'll do both. Okay, we'll do 1 5-minute rebuttal to cover all of it, or a 5-minute rebuttal for each round.
Yeah, because I don't think that I think 7 minutes is enough for 2 rounds to cover the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? It'll be redundant at that point.
Okay.
So what is the first round?
Get those likes up. Get those likes up.
So the first round is about what?
I think the first round is the validity of the New Testament, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. 7 minutes will start. It's on you.
When you start, I'm going to push my stopwatch, and you got 7 minutes when you start. When you say you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
All right, you got it up.
Okay. I say that the New Testament is not authorized or given by the Almighty because the New Testament twist, misquote, add to, subtract from, and make up scripture to prove his points. For example, Matthew chapter 2, verse 14 and 15, it reads, "When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the Lord, by the prophet, saying," which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, "Out of Egypt have I called my son." I'm just pulling these scriptures out, but I ask your audience to please read the whole context of each verse that I quote, so that they know that I'm not pulling out anything, that I'm not pulling anything out of context, and that everything is correct as I say it, because I don't want to be a deceiver. Now, that verse in Matthew chapter 2, verse 14 and 15, that was Joseph, the father of Yeshua, taking Yeshua to Egypt to hide him from Herod. And then it says, and was there until Herod had died. And then it says, and was there until the death of Herod, that it may be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, "Out of Egypt have I called my son." Now they quoted a scripture from the Tanakh, or the Old Testament. I'll use the word Old Testament because most people understand that term. So that quotation is from Hosea chapter 11, verse number 1. And here is the verse from Hosea chapter 11, verse number 1, that the quotation was from. It says, "When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt." As you can see, that verse in Matthew 2, 14 and 15 misquoted and applied that verse that's in Hosea chapter 11, verse 1. They applied that to Yeshua when, if you go back and read the verse, number 1, it is not a prophecy. Number 2, it's definitely not messianic. And number 3, is definitely not talking about Yeshua. It's talking about when the Most High brought Egypt out of Israel, when the Most High brought Israel out of Egypt. So that has nothing to do with Yeshua, but the New Testament took it, pulled it out of context, and applied it to Yeshua, and it had nothing to do with him whatsoever. But that's how the New Testament does with its points. It proves its points by twisting the Old Testament. Example number 2, Galatians chapter 3, verse 16. It says, this is Paul speaking, and he's talking about Abraham and the promised seed. It says, "Now Abraham and his seed were the promises made." And then it says, that's Galatians 3:16, if I didn't mention that. And then it says, hello? Oh, then it says, "He said not unto seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thee and to thy seed, which is Christ." So Genesis 3:16, Paul saying that Abraham, talking about the promises, was made to a seed, a singular seed, as in one person. Hello?
Yeah, brother. We here. Our mics are muted.
30.
How much time I got?
You got 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I got how much?
4 minutes.
No, you at
4
4
minutes.
minutes.
Okay, got it.
Wait,
Okay.
no, listen.
Okay,
You at 4. Slow down, brother. You at 4:30. It's 7 minutes, so you have 3:30 left. 3 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, appreciate that. Okay, Galatians 3:16, Paul does something that was super crazy. He said that when Abraham spoke of a seed, he said the seed is singular, so it's talking about one person, which is Christ. But if you read in Genesis chapter 12, verse 7, and in Genesis chapter 13, verse 15, in Genesis chapter 17, verse 8, and in Genesis chapter 24, verse 7, all those scriptures, for example, I'll read Genesis 3, 15, and 16. It says, for all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. As you see that the book was talking about Abraham's seed, which is his offspring, all of his offspring, not one person, like Paul trying to make it say. Because Paul said that the seed was in the singular form, but seed is like a collective noun, which means it's talking about more than one. Like for example, the word sheep. You can use sheep. You can say a sheep, or you can say some sheep. Or the word team. Team is a collective noun. When you say team, you know you're talking about a group and not just a singular person. But Paul twisted that to make it sound like it was talking about one person, which is Christ. Paul, again, 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6 and 7. That's 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6 and 7. It says, who also has made us ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. But if the ministration of death, written and engraved on stones, was glorious, so that which the children of Israel could not steadfastly behold the face of Moses, for the glory of his countenance, which glory was to be done away, and it says further, but I'll stop and I'll read, I'll go back to the Tanakh and read Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 15 and 16. It says this, see, I have set before...
Brother, you got 30 seconds.
Okay. See, I have set before thee this day life and good and death and evil. Now, back in Deuteronomy 30 and 15, the Almighty said he set before you the law, and he set before you life and death. But Paul make it sound like the Tanakh, that the law is only the administration of death. He misrepresented the Almighty's law and said it was the administration of death. And I know that is a lie. I'll end right there because I know my time's up.
Thank God. Okay. I actually gave you some extra time only because we was talking, letting you know about the time. So now this is not the rebuttal round. So this would be my response. I believe what's this round? The validity of the New Testament? Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll do 7 minutes, and then you'll be able to rebut my information for 5 minutes after I go, right? So I'm gonna start I'm gonna start my time when I start talking. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. When you talk about the validity of anything, of course, most people go to scriptures. I'm going to show some information outside of the scriptures first, because if we can validate the existence of Christ, then we can more so validate the New Testament, because the New Testament is primarily about Christ. Even the brother brought up Matthew's, the 2nd chapter and 14, when he says coming out of Hosea, which I will gladly respond to in my rebuttal round. So I'm just going to highlight, or maybe I'll respond in this round, I'm not sure. So I'm just going to highlight two or three outside sources that validate Christ, as well as the term Christian, which was the derogatory name that they gave to the Israelites. So this article, anybody can look up the historian Josephus. So I'm going to read this article here. I'll put this link in the chat for anybody that wants this information that I'm saying. You can kindly read this information in the chat. Here's the link. I just put it in the chat, and now I'm going to read it. It says, the first century Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, who according to Urham is far and away our best source of information about first century Palestine, twice mentions Jesus in Jewish antiquities. His massive 20-volume history of the Jewish people that was written around 93 AD. Though to have been born a few years after the crucifixion of Christ, around 37 AD, Josephus was a well-connected aristocrat and military leader. So what he wrote was, I'm just trying to find it. It says, in one passage of Jewish antiquities that recounts an unlawful execution, Josephus identifies the victim James as the brother of Jesus, who is called the Messiah. So now this is an outside source that's not in the Bible that gives testimony to Christ existing. So if Christ existing and you have Christians existing, this gives more power to validating the New Testament. When we go about validating if it's of God, I will go into the scriptures and prove that, but I just want to show outside sources. Then you have Tacitus, who it says connects Jesus to his execution by Pontius Pilate. It says another account of Jesus appears in the Annals of Imperial Rome, a first century history of Roman Empire written around 116 AD by the Roman senator and historian Tacitus. Chronicling the burning of Rome in 64 AD, Tacitus mentions that Emperor Nero falsely blamed the persons commonly called Christians. Why would they be called Christians? Because they follow after Christ. So clearly we can see another instance where Christians or Christ is being mentioned and they're following them because Jesus actually was executed. It says, as a Roman historian, Tacitus did not have any Christian biases in his discussion of the persecution of Christians by Nero. Just about everything he said coincides from a completely different point of view by a Roman author disdainful of Christians and their superstition, with the New Testament itself says Jesus was executed by the governor of Judea. I'm going to give one more source. Let me see if this source I'm going to give. So I'll skip that source. So I've shown sources outside of the Bible that validates Christ as a man, Christians as those that were following after Christ, which is kind of pretty easy. So now I'll take the rest of my time just to dispute some of the things that he said in Matthew 2 and 14. Well, before I do that, when it comes to prophecies in the Bible, in the Old Testament or New Testament, I'm going to read Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter and the 22nd verse. It says, for wisdom, which is the worker of all things, taught me, for in her understanding, spirit holy, one only, manifold, subtle, lively, clear, undefiled, plain. Why is it saying manifold? Because one prophecy in the Bible is not confined to that one event. If you think about Deuteronomy 28:68, how many times that happened? Other scriptures that we'll read, you see them happening at one point, Isaiah the 14th chapter. You see them happening at one point, and then you see them happening again, because scriptures are manifold. Just to show you. So I say that to say, when you go to Matthew 2 and 13, well, I won't do that one. What I will do is I'll do Isaiah 7 and 14, which was a big topic. How much time I got? Isaiah 7 and 14, which was a big discussion today in the clubhouse, which I wanted to join into the chat today. So Isaiah 7 and 14 reads, therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Now we know when Isaiah was given this sign, he also had a son. When you go to Isaiah 8, when it talks about Mal-Shalahaz. I always mess up that name, saying that name. So a lot of people say, well, this is talking about him and only him. And then 65 years after it was given, it was this other work was done. But if you look at Isaiah 7 and 14, when we give the examples, what do you have in here? You have a virgin, which is a young woman of marriageable age. You also have a title, which it says shall call his name Emmanuel. Now, if this was about Isaiah's son, then Isaiah's son should have been called Emmanuel. Now, you notice Christ was not called Emmanuel either. He was called Yahushua, because the name Emmanuel was just a title, which means God is with us. So God was with Isaiah's son, and then in Christ's time, God was with him. How did you know God was with him? By the miracles that Christ performed. Whether he was making the blind see, the crippled walk. So that's one example. I want to also go point to Isaiah 9 and 6, which lets you know it's not talking about Isaiah's son. And Isaiah 9 and 6 rather, it says, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful. Again, we have another scripture where it's given a name, but it's not a literal name. These are titles that are given. It says his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. And that's who Christ was. Christ was the peace between us and the Most High. You read that in Hebrews 9 and 15. Y'all know this is my favorite chapter.
30 seconds.
Hebrews chapter 9, verse 15, it says, and for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death for the redemption of those that were under the first testament. So what I've done in this round, as I take my last 20 seconds, is I've shown that Christ existed outside of the Bible as well as inside of the Bible. I will wait for my rebuttal round to rebut the scriptures that he pulled that said it was not talking about Christ. I yield the rest of my time.
Get those likes up.
Hey, brother, you there?
Yes, sir.
You have a 5-minute rebuttal round to that.
Okay, you ready for me?
Born, whenever you start talking, you have 5 minutes. I'll start the time when you start talking.
Okay, can you notify me like at when I have 2 minutes left, please?
Yeah,
2-minute warning, copy.
Yeah, we'll get you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Number one, I'm not disputing the validity of Yeshua, whether he lived or not. I believe that he lived. I believe the testimony of Josephus, and I believe the testimony of Tacitus when they speak of him. So I definitely believe that he lived, and I definitely believe that he was executed. But that's not the debate. The debate is the New Testament from the Almighty or not? Now, you brought up Wisdom of Solomon, which I believe that's apocrypha. I'm not even addressing that. Isaiah 7:14. That's another one that I can use to show that the validity of the New Testament is definitely not there. If you read, please, anybody read Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, start at verse 1. You will see that it's talking about, definitely not talking about a virgin birth, for one. The word there is Alma, which is a woman of that's able to bear children. So but that's not even an issue. But the point is, it wasn't even the birth that was the sign. The sign was the maturity of the child. This is what was going on. Judah was being attacked by Israel and Syria. And Isaiah went to the king and told the king, don't worry about it. The Almighty is going to deliver us. And then Isaiah told the king that here is a sign that the Almighty is going to deliver us. It says, therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a young woman shall conceive, or the young woman shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Here is the sign right here. Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both thy kings. See, this was not a prophecy thousands of years later referring to Yeshua. This was a prophecy speaking to the king, showing him that he's going to be delivered from both the northern tribe of Israel and the country Assyria. That's what the prophecy for. It has nothing to do with New Testament. It has nothing to do with what's spoken to Mary in the book of Matthew. Nothing to do with that. No angel spoke to her saying this.
You got 2 minutes.
No true angel.
You got 2 minutes.
Appreciate it. No true angel spoke to her saying these things. That's definitely not. That wasn't the prophecy. The prophecy was fulfilled. Surely, if you keep reading, Israel and Syria was destroyed. The prophecy was fulfilled. It has nothing to do with something thousands of years later. It has something to do with them that was right there. And that is not what theologians call a double prophecy. That is one prophecy meant for the time of the people that lived there. And I'll finish the rest of my time with another verse that I have here. Let's see. Here's another one that's taken out of context. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, this is Hebrews chapter 10, verse number 5. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he said, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared me. That's Hebrews chapter 10, verse 5, and he's quoting from Psalms chapter 40, verses 6 and 8. It says, sacrifice and offerings thou didst not desire, mine ears hast thou opened, burnt offering and sin offering thou hast not required. Then lo, I come. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book, as it is written of me. I delight to do thy will, O my God, yea, thy law is within my heart. See, as you see, that verse, again, is taken totally out of context. It said, but a body thou hast prepared for me in Hebrews 10:5. But if you go back to Psalms 46 and 8, the word body is not in there anywhere. They added to the word. And the word Deuteronomy says, do not add to this commandment and do not diminish or take away from it. But they have added to the word and they taken away from the word. Colossians chapter 2, verse 14 and 15. Blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way by nailing it to the cross. Look, he said he took out the handwriting of ordinances by nailing it to the cross. This is Paul.
And that's your time.
That's your time, brother.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so now we got a 5-minute rebuttal round, and then we're going to get into the next topic after that, all right?
All right.
Yes, sir.
And
Cap, it is on you whenever you start.
Okay. As I stated, a lot of people don't understand how prophecies work. What I also want everybody to pay attention to, the brother clearly said, not only does he believe in Christ, he believed that Christ was crucified. Where's the only information you can get about anything about Christ? The New Testament. He just validated the New Testament with that one statement that he just said. That one statement alone made this debate null and void, because he believed Jesus existed, believed he died, he said the word crucified. So it makes everything that we're about to say null and void. So Matthew 1 and 21, again, as I said, when it says prophecies are double, you go to 2 Samuel 7 and 12, 7 and 14, after it says, I will be his father, he will be my son. If he commits iniquity, I will beat him with the stripes of men and with the rods of men. That did not happen to Solomon, but it did happen to Yahushua when Yahushua was here to pay for what Solomon did. That's what a prophecy, when we say a double prophecy. Now, what happened in the prophecy that happened with David? Solomon did build that temple, but that temple did not last forever because it was a prophecy in part, so to speak. So in Isaiah 7 and 14, when they try to make the butter and honey, first of all, a baby don't come out eating butter and honey. A baby comes out drinking milk, and then he gets to a level where he can take the butter and honey, because that's the part of the prophecy that belonged to Isaiah's son. The only prophecy that Matthew quotes is a virgin shall conceive and call his name Emmanuel, which means God is with us. And how did you know God was with Christ? By his own admission, he knew Christ existed. So he have to accept the things that are written. So Christ did the works of the Most High. That's how you knew God was with us. He did not dispute any of my outside information. He agreed with my outside information, so I don't have to touch that. Then he also said, Matthew 2 and 14, when he said, 2 and 13, it says, and when he departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word. And we arose, he took the young child by night and departed into Egypt until the death of Herod. Then he came back into Israel. And verse 15 says, that it might be fulfilled, O Lord, by thy prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. Christ is the Son of the Most High, which came out of Egypt. How do you know prophecies are fulfilled? By the actions that take place. So when Christ came out of Egypt, and the prophets or the disciples before him, what did John 1 and 45 say? John 1 and 45 said, we have findeth him. Hold on, let me get to it so I don't be all over the place. This is John 1 and 45. What did Nathanael say? We have found him of whom Moses and the prophets did write. So what did that mean? Number one, they were in the scriptures themselves, and they observed what Hosea said, what Isaiah said, what Samuel said. They observed all these things. So when they see this man, or this child at the time, coming out of Egypt, when they see the works that he's doing, it validates everything about the Messiah that they was looking for. This is how you prove if the New Testament is valid or not, by the writers showing you that they fulfilled the prophecies. He also brought out Hebrews 10, when I'm working out with my time. So he brought out Hebrews 10. I like to go to the scriptures they go to first. So he brought out Hebrews, the 10th chapter. I like to start, well, I'm going to do where he started at. Hebrews
1 minute
10.
remaining.
I appreciate it. Hebrews 10 and 6. Where in burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin thou didst have no pleasure. And he's saying that the writers plagiarized. Do I got his right scripture? I hope I got the right one he pulled. If not, he'll tell me which one it was, because I know he said it was a comparison with Psalms, the 40th chapter and the 6th verse. I hope I got the right one for him. So even in that one, if I go to his verse, Psalms 40, 6 through 8, that he said the writers got wrong. So Psalms 40, 6 through 8, sacrifice and offerings thou didst not desire. Mine ears hast thou opened, burnt offerings and sin offering hast thou not required. So when we go back to Hebrews, the reason why that's important is because Christ did not sin. That's the point of this. In burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin, thou hast had no pleasure. How do you know that he didn't sin? When
That's
you
your
go
time, Cap Salaki.
No problem.
We are very fair.
All right, so we're going into the next round.
I learned my moderation skills from Cap.
I'm doing this round too.
So, yeah, Kai. He asked for one opponent.
Go ahead, brother. So now in this round, we are showing we are not in the New Testament.
It's that we are under the new covenant. Which covenant are we under? Which testament? We under the New Testament.
I just want to make, because that don't sound like what he said, and I wanted to hear what he said. Can you tell it?
Well, I said that we are not under the new covenant or New Testament. That was the topic.
Okay, so the topic is we are not in the New Testament. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So you got 7 minutes to show we are not in the New Testament. By all means, whenever you go.
Okay, can you give me a halfway warning when I go?
Copy. I'll give you a 3-minute warning.
Okay, appreciate it.
No sweat. Your time starts when you start talking.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
The new covenant. Now, a covenant, first of all, is an agreement. A covenant is an agreement with parties, with 2 or more parties. So when you make a covenant, there's a covenantor and a covenantee, and you agree on certain things, and you have to be there to agree. I can't agree for something for somebody else. If I make an agreement with somebody, that's between me and that person. That ain't for outsiders. That's for me and that person. Now, in Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 31, it says, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Let me get that verse. I'm just quoting it. Let me get it real quick. Okay, Jeremiah 31, verse 31. Okay, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband in them, said the Lord. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days. Now, the covenant we see is first of all, it's to Judah and to Israel. Okay, after those days, saith the Lord. Verse 33, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it on their hearts. And I will be their God, and they shall be my people. verse 34 is the kicker. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they all shall know me, from the least of them and to the greatest of them, said the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. Now, notice it says, they shall teach no more every man his neighbor. The very fact that you guys have Bible study on YouTube illustrates in a profound and eloquent way that we are not in the New Testament. Because if we was in this covenant, you would not need to teach anybody, because it says they will all know him. Nobody got to ask their neighbor, who's the Lord? Show me the Lord. Teach me about the Lord. It says, for they will all know me. So we cannot be in the new covenant, because this verse here explicitly says some of the things that's going to happen under the new covenant, and that has not happened. Point number two. Let me get it right quick. Now, to be in the covenant, you have to make the covenant. Now, let's look at what if Israel made another covenant with the Almighty in the New Testament. Matthew 26, verse 28. It says here, this is Yeshua speaking. It says, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Now watch this. Let's see about this. In John chapter 1, verse 11, this is what it said about how Israel, how Judah felt about the covenant. It says, he came into, it says, speaking of Yeshua, he came to his own, and his own received him not. That right there, his own is the Israelites. He came to his own, and they received him not. So was there a covenant? Absolutely not, because they rejected him.
You got 3 minutes remaining.
Thank you. Romans chapter 11, verse 25. It says this, for I would not, brethren, that ye shall be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened to Israel, until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. Israel did not accept Christ. Israel is blind. So how is there even possibility of being a new covenant when they, the people of the Almighty, rejected Christ? The one that you call Christ, when they rejected Yeshua. So there cannot be a new covenant. Now to go back to something else that he said while I got the time. I believe the works of Josephus. I believe the works of Tacitus. He said the fact that I acknowledge that Yeshua lived and that he was crucified, that validates the validity, and that's illustrating that the New Testament comes from the Almighty. Absolutely not. Like I say, I believe in Josephus, Tacitus, many historic works I believe in. But do I say they from the Almighty? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And another thing, this double prophecy thing, if that's the case, we can't interpret the scriptures anyway. Just like the New Testament interpret them, they mishandled the Tanakh. Even the Orthodox Israelites, the Orthodox Jews, do the same thing with their oral law. They oral law, they say that they got that from the Tanakh, but they interpret it in a way that is not legit. They say that where it says don't boil a kid in his mother's milk, they take that to mean that you can't have milk and meat in the same table, in the same dinner, which is false, but that's their interpretation. But you can't get that out of Tanakh. So you got to interpret the scriptures like the scriptures say. I yield the rest of my time.
Hey, man,
Okay.
thank you.
No sweat.
Thank you, man. We appreciate that greatly, man. So I'm going to stop. You out? Oh, you have some shabakta.
Sure.
You have some shabakta. All right. So I'm going to reset the time. This is when we talk about, are we in the New Testament? Are we in the Old? So this will be my time to, I guess, talk if we're in the New Testament. All right? So I'm going to start my time when I start talking. The brother ended this round as well, just as he ended the previous round, once he agreed that Christ existed and he was crucified. He wouldn't have been crucified if he wasn't doing what he was doing. So in Jeremiah 31:31, it said, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah," which totally gets rid of the Old Testament now. The very book that they're following, that they don't make no sacrifices. They will tell you we can't make no sacrifices, can't keep some of the Passovers and feast days and stuff like that because they're not in the land, but will not show you a law that says you can't keep in the land, not one. Verse 32 says, "Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers," which is telling you that this covenant is different. So the way the old covenant was is not going to be the way this one was. Now, because the brother already read it, I'm going to go to 33. It says, "But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts, and I will write it in their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people." What does that mean when he says, "I will put my law in my inward parts"? For those that don't know, we're in the New Testament now with the law in our inward parts. And what the part of that means in your inward parts, there's not a priest to make us keep the law. So how are we keeping the law? We're keeping the law because we are a law to ourselves, because the law is in our inward parts. Precept, Romans 2 and verse 14. It says, "For the Gentiles which have not the law," meaning don't have the priests, "do by nature the things contained in the law, they having not the law are a law unto themselves." That's the point of what Jeremiah 31 has said, because the priests failed at their job. So now we get the law in our inward parts and begin to govern ourselves. So it's a process. That's the first step. We get the law into our inward parts. So when we go back to Jeremiah 31, and then now we read 34. Hold on, let me get back to Jeremiah. Bear with me 1 second. So when we go back to Jeremiah 31 and we read 34, when he says, so now remember, the law gets in our inward parts and it gets written in our hearts, which is talking about our mind. And then we shall be their God and they shall be my people, because if we're not in the New Testament, then we're not God's people. Hosea 1 said we was cut off from being his people. That's what makes Romans important, because in Romans, Paul said, "Where it was said, ye are not the children of God, there you shall be called the sons of the living God." So if we go according to this brother's logic, we're not even God's people right now. We're still waiting for the time to be back to God's people, which would be impossible to be in the New Testament, because we are waking up to who we are right now. So how can we wake up to being the children of Israel if we're not God's people and not in the New Testament? So again, verse 34 says, "And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me." How do we get to know him? It got in our inward parts. It got into our minds. So it's not magic, which the brother would have you believe that it's just magic. You're just going to automatically know. That's not how God works. Everything works by your work. When you put it in your heart, when you put it in your mind, now you don't have to have nobody to govern you. The brother also said you have to have a testor when you make a covenant. It's clear in Matthew 26 that he pulled. He made my job kind of easy. In Matthew 26 and 28, he says, "For this is my blood of the New Testament." You can't have a testament without blood. And he said, "This is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many in the remission of sins." This is the start of the New Testament. The ending of the New Testament
3-minute warning
is when we're in the kingdom of heaven. Now, Abraham got the covenant before Isaac was even born. Abraham did not get the benefits of that covenant because there was a process to it. Isaac had to be born. Jacob had to be born. 12 tribes of Israel had to be born, and they went into captivity. And when they came out, then they got the covenant of the promised land that was promised to Abraham. So that's the stage that we're in right now. We are the children of the promise, working to receive the promise of the kingdom of heaven in this New Testament. So again, if we're not in the New Testament, then we're not God's people, because Hosea, the first chapter, said we would not be his people for a time. Of course, not forever, but just cut off for a time. So what he said about that part was also allowed. I'm going to go to Hebrews 9th chapter again, Yeah, I'm glad. So I want to go to Hebrews, the 9th chapter again, because my last time was kind of cut short. So Hebrews 9, it clearly says, but Christ being come an high priest of good things to come by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and goats and the ashes of an heifer sprinkling unclean sanctify the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ? And that's what actually cleansed us. It was the blood of Christ. Now, one thing he mentioned in John 1:11, when it says he came unto his own and his own received him not, that's not talking about everybody. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had no disciples. He wouldn't have had nobody to write these records if his own received him not. So when you go to Mark 8:31, it says, and he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of who? The elders, the chief priests, the scribes, and to be killed. So it wasn't the people that hated him. It was the people in power that hated them. Further proof of that is in John the 11th chapter when he raised Lazarus from the dead. When he raised Lazarus from the dead, what did the people in charge say? What do we do? 11:48. If we let him thus alone,
30 seconds.
All men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away our place in nation. So he did not prove everybody rejected him. That's a lie. He went to Jeremiah 31:31 to show that in Jeremiah, we was done with the old covenant, that a new covenant was coming. And if the new covenant is not here, then we can't be God's people, because the only thing that can redeem us back to God is a blood sacrifice. I'm saying sacrifice because, you sacrifice a lamb, XYZ like that. And by his own admission, you have to have a sacrifice. So we was cut off in Hosea 1. He would have to show where did we come back to being God's people without that sacrifice.
And that is time.
All right, so brother, you get a 5-minute rebuttal. Again,
okay.
as you know, it'll start. We'll give you you want a 2-minute warning, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you'll get a 2-minute warning. Once you start talking, we'll make sure you get a 2-minute warning.
Okay. Notice in John 1:11, he said he came into his own, but his own received him not. The Israelites didn't receive him as a nation. If you go back to Deuteronomy chapter 29 and read all the way through, the whole nation accepted the covenant. And he said the leaders didn't accept it in the so-called New Testament. But if you go back to Deuteronomy chapter 29 and read down, it'll tell you all the captains, all the leaders, everybody, Joshua, they all accepted the covenant. So just because one or two or whatever, a few people accepted, that cannot validate the acceptance of the whole nation. The whole nation has to accept it. If you read Tanakh about the Messianic age, the whole nation is involved, not just one or two people. Let's see. Deuteronomy, I see the New Testament. Israel did not accept it. Hosea. He spoke about Hosea, talking about a nation being cut off. Hosea, if you read, get a handbook and read about the prophet Hosea, you would see that the prophet Hosea prophesied to the northern kingdom. That's not, he wasn't even prophesying to Judah. He wasn't even prophesying to the southern kingdom. I didn't examine the verse that he read, but he said them being cut off. But like I say, Hosea prophesied to the northern kingdom, so that wouldn't be valid. Another thing about me admitting that there was a Yeshua, that does not validate the fact that the Almighty authorized the so-called New Testament. Like I say, I read and study and believe a whole lot of books. But all those books, only one, only the Tanakh, I say, come from God. Only the Tanakh. Just because I recognize that there was a Yeshua does not mean that I believe that the writings, everything about him is true. I know that he lived and that he died, he was executed. They put that in there because that's if anybody do textual criticism, you would see the things that were probably true and the things that probably wasn't true, but you have to study textual criticism. You have to really get deep about that. But other than that, him being crucified, absolutely. I believe it. I believe it. But
2 minute warning.
Okay, thank you. But the New Testament is being legit? Absolutely not. Back to Jeremiah 31:31. Notice what it says. It says, no, you won't ask your neighbor. See, it's not even talking about the priest. He said the priest blew it. But Jeremiah 31:31, it didn't say nothing about the priest. It's just talking about the average person. It says, and they shall teach no man, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor. Meaning you teach me, I teach you. It says for every man. It says, let me read it. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord. It says, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them. So how can you prove that is what we're in now, when that is not the case? That's not what's going on. We all got to sit down, have Bible study, and every neighbor teach another person. Did you say time?
No, you have a minute left.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so Jeremiah 31 and 34, absolutely, it refutes what he's saying. Something's going to be different. The Israelites always taught each other throughout the ages, but something is different this time. Something is different. You ain't going to have to go to your neighbor and say, what does this mean? What does that mean? No, it says, for they shall all know him. There will be no more teaching. It says right there will be no more teaching. In verse 34, it says they shall teach no more. They shall teach no more every man his neighbor. See, but the fact that y'all having Bible study meaning that we're not there, we're not in the New Testament. I yield my time.
With 9 seconds to spare, Cap, you got 5 minutes to respond.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Once again, this is Cross the Line Radio. Anybody who wants to set up a formal debate, you can call 646-221-1117. That's 646-221-1117. And you will get your shot with uninterrupted time. Everybody gets a fair shake.
Everyone.
And with that, you ready, Cap?
Everyone. Salakia. You can start.
When you start, and
go. Time. Appreciate it. Brother did not show where in Hosea we became Lord's people again. In Hosea 1, it says we was cut off from his people. He has not shown where we became the Lord's people again. He also tried to make it seem like it was like one or two people that followed after Christ. When you go to Luke 12, it says, in the meantime, when they were gathered together, an innumerable multitude of people, insomuch they trod one upon another, he began to say unto his disciples, first of all, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. Because when he came as a direct conflict against the Pharisees. So again, here you see an innumerable multitude of people followed after Christ. So I don't know what his point was with that. He also, I want y'all to pay very close attention when we have these debates. He said he didn't remember the other thing that I said. And if you're going to be a debater, the most important thing you have to do is remember what your opponent said so that you can accurately refute it. Because I clearly said, show me where we became God's people again. Even Caiaphas, when he prophesied not just for that nation only. Remember, he mentioned, he said Hosea was talking to the northern kingdom. So when did the northern kingdom become his people? Because none of us are his people, unless he's saying the northern kingdom ain't his people, but the Jews are his people, which would go right back to Romans the 11th chapter when he talked about the blindness happened to them. The blindness happened to the southern kingdom because they thought they was better than the northern kingdom. And so Christ's death was the end of the bitterness or jealousy between Judah and Israel. That's the blindness. And how do I remember the blindness? Because I know how to debate, so I know he mentioned it. There was also something that he mentioned in the first round of Galatians 3:16, when it says, now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He said, not into seeds as of many, but as of one, into thy seed, which is Christ, as if there was a contradiction between the old and the new, when that wasn't the case. Paul was using this as a metaphor so we can know that the same thing about the seed being only about Israel in the old is the same thing about it only being about the seed, which is Israel in the new, that there is no difference between the two things that we're talking about. So now if I was to go further, what is this subject again? About the New Testament? Is it valid? Are we in the New Testament?
Oh, we're under the New Testament.
Let me go to Luke 4. This is the gospel. And this is what he claims. I guarantee you he claims he's doing this, but I guarantee you he'll tell you he's not doing no sacrificing. No sacrificing of no animal at all. And I need him to show me where in the law it says don't sacrifice an animal. That's going to be a question. So Luke 4:18. This is what we all do. Wait. Yep. Luke 4:18. It says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach the deliverance to the captives, the recovering of the sight to the blind, to set liberty to them that are bruised. That's everything we do in this New Testament. And what happens in doing that? It goes right back to Jeremiah 31:31 when it says, behold, the days come when I make a new covenant with the house of Israel. I will put my law in their inward parts. To the brother listening, God is not coming down here to touch your head and then boom, you learn magic. But when we go out there to preach the gospel to the poor, that's them getting the law, coming back into the covenant. When we go and heal the brokenhearted, preach the deliverance, tell them you are the children of Israel, that's what the New Testament is all about. That's the time that we're in.
1 minute warning.
That's the time that we're in right now. The fulfillment of the New Testament is when the kingdom of heaven gets here. But we're in the New Testament right now. I yield the rest of my time. I think I've clearly proven that we're in the New Testament. He would have to show what we're in right now. I don't know what we're in right now according to him. He would have to show that.
All right, so with that,
questions?
what we're going to do is, what? That's what you want to do?
2 questions.
Okay, so what we're gonna do, just so, because we have a surplus of callers tonight, brother. What you could do is both of y'all can ask each other 2 questions. So any 2 questions you want, you can ask, and vice versa.
Okay, you want to go first?
No, you can go.
Okay. Question number 1. Well, is it okay to eat animals that were sacrificed to idols? As Paul has mentioned in the book of Corinthians chapter 8, I believe. He had mentioned, he said it was no big deal. His philosophy was, we know there are no other gods. So he said it was okay to eat animals sacrificed to idols. What is your take on that?
Okay, my take on that is that you should stay out of my book, and I'm going to answer the question being that you asked it. When you read 1 Corinthians, the 8th chapter, now to sum it up, right, I'm going to read verse 13, and then I'm going to tell you the point. In 1 Corinthians 8:13, it says, wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend. That's the first thing you need to understand, which lets you know he did not eat the meat, nor did he condone eating the meat. The chapter was not about eating the meat. It was about something else. When you read the first verse, it says, now touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth. And if any man think he knoweth anything, he knoweth nothing as ye ought to know. Verse 4, as concerning therefore the eating of things that are offered in sacrifice unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world, and that there is none other God but one. For though they be called gods, whether in heaven or in earth, as there be gods many and lords many, but to us there is one God, the Father, of whom all things we in him. Verse 7, howbeit there is not every man that knowledge. So what is the point? I'm going to use a common today's time example to explain what Paul is saying here. You have something called Thanksgiving celebrated every year. Or let me use something that is more directive to an idol. You have Christmas dinner. I'm calling it Christmas dinner because if you walk in the house on December 25th, what are you eating? Christmas dinner. You and I know, talking to the brother on the line, that the Christmas dinner is involved with the Christmas tree, with Santa Claus and Saint Nick and all of that. And that's idols. But now, to you and I for real, we know that that Christmas tree means nothing. That Christmas dinner is nothing. When I look at that piece of turkey, that's just turkey. It's not Christmas turkey to me because I don't celebrate Christmas. Christmas is nothing to me. But now imagine a young brother coming out the world that was just celebrating Christmas all his life. To him, it is Christmas dinner. And if he sees you eating that Christmas dinner, he's going to think you're worshiping Christmas. So the freedom that you have or the knowledge that you have that is just turkey is going to destroy that brother. So although I know that this is nothing but turkey, I will not eat this turkey because my brother believes that this is Christmas turkey. So he's not condoning the eating of food offered up to idols. He's actually telling brothers, because you have the knowledge that it's not an idol, don't hurt a brother's faith by eating the food, knowing he's going to think it's offered to an idol. That's the answer to your question.
Okay.
So now I get to ask you a question, and then you'll ask me a question. I'll ask you a question, and then
okay.
No problem.
Okay, yeah, you can ask.
So my question is like a two-part question. If we are not in the Old Testament because we broke it, and you say we're not in the New Testament because it's not here yet, what are we in, and are we God's people?
We are still under the same covenant. You talking about Hosea, but Hosea is before Ezra. He prophesied before Ezra. When Ezra came back from Babylon and rebuilt the temple that was destroyed, when they rebuilt the second temple, they commenced in the covenant. They still offered sacrifices, and they still kept the law, and they still obeyed the Almighty. They kept the covenant. So Hosea, when you said we're not a people, he was talking to the northern tribe. Check out any handbook, and you will see that Hosea prophesied to the northern tribes. Isaiah prophesied to the southern tribe. But you have to look at a handbook to see, or get deep in to see who was prophesying to who. Because each prophet, when they split, they was prophesying to different tribes, to the northern kingdom or to the southern kingdom. And like I say, when they came back out of Babylon, they could have said, well, there's no more covenant. No, they rebuilt the temple, and the temple stood all the way into AD 70. They were still sacrificing. They were still doing all these things. Christ, the one that you call Christ himself, was sacrificing. So if it was gone when Hosea wrote, then what was Yeshua doing? He was out of pocket, if that's the case. If it was wrong when Hosea said we're not a people, then Yeshua was all wrong because he observed all the laws. He obeyed the Almighty. He observed the laws. He said if you want eternal life, he didn't say, well, the law is dead, the covenant is broken. No, he said you want eternal life? Keep the commandments. Keep the commandments. So what you're saying, what Hosea, we're talking about Hosea, that in no way applies. If it do apply, then Yeshua was wrong, and all those that built the temple, Ezra was wrong. Everybody, they was all wrong. They was all wrong, and they still wrong. So what was the other part of it? The other part was, yes, we are still under the same covenant. When every time they violated the I got a verse. If you give me a second. Let me see. I can show you other kings reestablishing the same covenant. They said we made a covenant with the Almighty. I made a covenant with the Almighty and the people. Although he's talking about the same covenant. He's not talking about a different covenant. Let me see. Okay, 2 Kings chapter 11 verse 17, and Jehoiada made a covenant between the Lord and the king and the people, that they should be the Lord's people, between the king also and the people. So what covenant is he talking about? He's not talking about new laws. He's talking about the same law. He's just reestablishing the same law. When Israel fall back and they come back and accept the covenant, they back accept it. And that's my answer.
I appreciate it. Do you allow responses to your answer?
No, I think that'll be because I sure enough wanted to respond to yours.
No, you could have. Yeah, you could have. If you would have just asked like how I asked, I would have allowed you to respond to it. It wouldn't have been no big deal. I thought you was actually.
Right, I sure wanted to, but I just wanted to obey the.
Oh no! If you would have said so, so I tell you what, I won't, because you didn't respond to my first question. I won't take advantage and respond to your question. So we'll go to, I guess, the next question. So you can ask me a question,
okay,
and when I respond to it, you can respond to my answer, so to speak, and then we'll do it like that way to be fair, because I don't want to feel like I took advantage.
Okay.
All right. So you can ask your question.
Let's see. Do I have another question?
If you don't, that's fine. Yeah, if you don't, that's fine. I tell you what, if you don't have another question, but you would like to respond to my last question, we can use that instead. Like my answer that I gave to your question, if you wanted to respond to that, you can respond to that.
What was your last question?
No. When I responded to your question,
I'm saying, what was the question that you asked me? I forgot what it was.
No. Remember when you first asked me about the sacrificing food to idols, and then I answered. You said you wanted to respond to that.
Oh,
so what I was saying.
I'll respond to it.
Right. So what I was saying.
Great.
Just so you know, so I was saying, if you didn't have another question, what we could do is I can allow you to respond to what I said to you about 1 Corinthians 8 about the idols, and then I can respond to your last question. That way it's fair.
Okay, great. Let's do that. Let's do that. That'd be great.
No problem. So you can respond.
Okay, now, back to what you were saying about Corinthians, Paul was absolutely allowing for them to go to the temple. He was actually saying it's okay to go to the temple where the gods, the so-called gods, were, and eat the foods that were sacrificed to them. He was actually saying that, and he, the question, well, that's right, we're in questions. I'm in teaching mode, sorry.
No, it could be however you want, it's fine. Because this would be the last back and forth. So if you want to ask me questions in the middle or bring a scripture in the middle, that's fine.
Well, Paul was actually condoning it, that they can eat those sacrificed foods, but back to the other part of that, I don't know if you got to the other part, where the apostles themselves told Paul, they gave rules to the Gentiles, and one of those rules was don't eat nothing strangled, and don't eat nothing sacrificed to idols. But Paul said that it's cool because we know there ain't no other God but God. But he said it's cool. But he went not only against what Tanakh says, but he went against what the apostles, namely James had told him in Acts chapter 15, I believe, and in Acts chapter, I think 21 or something. But James told him, don't do that. But Paul did it. Okay, that's...
No, I was
just going to respond to that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, can you show me where he said it was okay to eat it? I know you made this statement. So, like, where you talking about abstain from idols, that's Acts 15 and 20 and 29.
Yeah.
Where it says abstain from the idols and stuff like that. In 1 Corinthians, the 8th chapter that you went to, where does he say you can eat them? Because I read a lot of the verses in the chapter. Can you show me where he said to eat it?
Okay.
That's what I'm at. That's what I'm looking for. That's the one thing I don't see in 1 Corinthians, the 8th chapter, unless it's another chapter. If it's another chapter, that's fine. But I don't see it in 1 Corinthians, the 8th chapter, and I've never seen him say you can actually eat it. But if you can show me that, that'll be cool. And I'm looking up just to see if yeah, so if you can show me where he said it's okay to eat food off of the idols. That's because that's your point of contention, saying you basically, because he would be breaking the law at that point. So if you can show me that,
okay,
good. I'll give you some time to show that. And then while you look for that, I'm gonna respond to your question. But whenever you find where he said it's okay to eat, okay.
Okay, verse number 8. It says, "Oh, hold on, I got a different version. Let me go back to the KJV here." Verse number 8, he says, "For meat commendeth us not to God, for neither if we eat are we the better, neither if we eat not are we the worse." So he said it's no matter. And then verse 9 says,
"Can you read the verse before that? Can you read
that again?
Can you read verse 7?
Howbeit, there is not in every man that knowledge, for some with conscience of the idol, and to this hour eat it as a thing offered unto an idol, and their conscience being weak is defiled."
So what does that mean? Do you know what that means?
He said that some, if your conscience is weak, if you believe that there is a God other than the Almighty, then your conscience, you're gonna be defiled because you're weak. You eating with offense.
Right. Who's gonna be defiled?
The weak brother.
The one that believes it's an idol, right?
Yes, the one that believes that it is actually a God.
Okay.
That it's actually a deity. If you believe it's a deity and you eat, then you're going to be defiled because your conscience is weak.
Because your
but he
conscience
said to the other brother.
Right. So just walk with me for a second. So now in verse 8 it says, but meat commendeth us not to God, for neither if we eat are we the better, neither if we eat not are we the worse. Right? And then verse 9 verse 9 says, "But take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak." Now remember, you said he's saying it's okay to eat it, that you can't eat it. It don't sound like he. It don't.
Yes. But verse.
Go ahead.
Okay. Verse 8 says, verse 8 and verse 9 together says it's okay to eat, because he's saying it's. But this liberty of yours, you can be a stumbling block for your brother. He said, "You don't believe in other God."
Okay, so now let me help you a little bit, especially being you don't believe in the New Testament. So I'm gonna help you just a little bit. So remember this.
Can you read verse 10?
Yeah, I'm gonna read.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Like I said, because we having a back and forth, that's fine. So you don't have to apologize. And of course, I don't see you, so you're gonna speak, I'm gonna speak. So I think we can have a cordial back and forth without it being a big deal. So now.
Okay.
And I'll read verse 10. So I'm explaining to you. And just to give you the point, I'm going to read verse 1. It says, "Now touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth." Charity is love. That's what edifies. Knowledge does not edify. That's the subject, right? And so now when you go from there, when you go to verse 4, it says, "As concerning therefore the eating of those things that are offered on sacrifice unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world." That's the knowledge that puffeth up, and that there is none other God but one. That's the knowledge that puffeth up, right? So now in verse 6,
yes, sir.
So now in verse 7, it says, "Howbeit there is not in every man that knowledge." So what knowledge does every man not have? That this idol is nothing. Every man don't have that knowledge. Most men have the knowledge that that's an idol. So when you get to, "But meat commended us not to God, for neither if we eat are we the better, neither if we not eat are we the worse," he's actually telling the one that has the knowledge not to eat. That's why verse 9 says, but take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak. So you have this knowledge which puffs you up. But if you love your brother, you're not going to eat to put a stumbling block in front of someone. Verse 10, for if any man see thee which has knowledge that puffeth up, sit at meat in the idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him that is weak be emboldened to those which are offered the idol? So now let's say you have the knowledge that whether you walk into your own house or whether you walk into the house of Baal, that meat that you eat don't mean nothing to you because you know Baal is not really a god. But when I see you walk in there, I'm going to think you're offering your idol up unto Baal. Should you eat the meat? I'm asking you.
No, sir.
That's what Paul is saying. Paul is telling them not to eat the meat. And you know that because he says, I'm going to keep going. So now I'm going to read 11 through 13. It says, and through thy knowledge shall the weak brother perish, for whom Christ died. So Christ died for this brother to repent from the idol. And you're going to make him weak to think that he can eat the meat offered the idol when he was just given the opportunity to repent? Verse 12, but when ye sin so against your brethren, now he's telling you that by eating that meat, you're sinning against your brother. It says, but when ye so sin against the brethren and wound their weak conscience, you sin against Christ. He's actually telling them it's still a sin to eat that meat offered unto idols. That's why verse 13, it says, wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend. So the point of this, remember, the Paul's writings are letters to the brothers in that school. So he's writing to the brothers in Corinthians and telling them to stop eating meat offered to idols because you're offending your brother. And he's calling it a sin against your brother to do so. So this chapter is not telling him to eat meat offered unto idols at all.
I tell you what, I like the way you read. You read much better than me, and I understand it better the way you read it because you're a clear reader.
I appreciate it, brother.
In saying that, I think you validate my point. I think what it's really saying is you can eat the meat. The meat is nothing. We don't believe in no God but God. You can eat it, but you just can't eat it around your weak brothers.
No, brother.
See, he didn't say.
No, he said he didn't say. But
that
listen,
he was wrong.
Hey, listen though. Listen. The conclusion of the matter, it says, wherefore if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend. Let's say if the brother, let's say so now for
it's all about the brother.
Hold on.
What you were saying from the first. About charity, that's what the whole thing's about.
Thank you.
You was right. You was right.
That's my point. So now, but here's the bigger point. That idol is nothing, but your brother is everything. So I'm not eating nothing offered to idols because my brother may see me, even though I think it's just turkey, even though I just think it's just a steak. If that steak is offered to an idol, and I'm going to tell you something, brother, we live this every day. When Thanksgiving comes, I don't go around my family on Thanksgiving because I know how they get down. If I go to my mother's house on Thanksgiving, you know what she's going to think? I'm celebrating Thanksgiving. Now imagine a young brother I'm teaching about Thanksgiving and how evil it is, and he see me at my mama's house on Thanksgiving eating turkey. I just sinned against that brother. Even though to me, it's just turkey. If I go to my mother's house on Christmas, it's just meat for me. But because I know that can offend my brother, and let me tell you who else it will offend. The family that I come around that believe I'm an Israelite, they will now say, Tazaryach, he ain't really no Israelite. I saw him at his mama's house on Christmas Day. Now, the ones that might have stopped celebrating Christmas are not going to stop because they see me in the house. That's the point out. This scripture is about how you give charity to a brother, love to a brother. You don't offend brothers by eating food offered unto idols. That's why he called it a sin. So again, if you saying I broke it down and explained it, you should clearly see he's never talking about eating no food offered unto idols. He's telling you not to eat the food offered unto idols.
Well, I believe, according to this whole context, that he's talking about offending your brother.
Well,
if it offends your brother, don't do it.
Well, to
but
avoid
not.
To avoid an unnecessary. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Were you speaking?
Yeah, I was gonna say to avoid an unnecessary going back and forth. You clearly, I would have to be the superiority on this subject, only because by your own admission you don't believe. So because you don't believe, you could never understand this. I'm not saying that in an offensive manner, but that's what you said yourself. So what I'm trying to do is teach you what it's really talking about. Your understanding of this is from a Christian perspective, because I know Christians use this to say you can eat foods. They use Acts the 10th chapter to say you can eat unclean foods. And so we have to come behind and clean up their filth. We have to clean up the garbage that Christianity has put on this scripture. So I'm giving you what it is. What I would suggest, maybe you go back and watch it again, and then Lord allow you get the understanding on it.
Okay, but I interpret things in the context that they're in, not
right. Okay, so
you know
now,
what I'm
brother,
saying?
right?
And the context suggests that what you said at first is that the purpose is not to offend your brother. But even so, he still disobeyed what the apostles told him. Is to tell those Gentiles, absolutely do not eat things offered to idols.
Now, let me tell
Paul's
you,
philosophy was, ain't nothing wrong with it. As long as we know that those idols aren't God.
You don't understand counsel. I'm going to tell you why. So if you go to Acts 15, that's when they told not to eat it, right? So now if you know black people. Yes, sir. So now if you know black people, I'm going to see if you know black people. So in Acts the 15th chapter, they saying don't eat food offered to strange gods, right? Now, who's telling them not to do it in Acts 15?
James.
Who?
James.
It says James in there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. It was either Acts 15 or Acts 29. One of them, he was talking with James, wasn't he?
Who was talking with James?
Paul.
So Paul was there too?
Yeah, he told Paul to deliver this to the Gentiles.
No, what I'm saying is, so if I go to Acts 15 and 25, it says, it seemed good to us being assembled with one accord to send chosen men unto you with our beloved Barnabas and Paul, men that have hazarded their lives for the same name of our Lord Yahushua Christ. We have sent therefore Judas and Silas, who shall also tell you the things with thy mouth, for it seemed good to the Holy Spirit and to us to lay upon you no greater burden than these necessary things, that ye abstain from meats offered to idols, and from blood, and from things you have strangled, and from fornication. So would you agree that Paul is aware, as they're all having this conversation, that they're not to eat meats offered to idols, right?
Absolutely. They said it seemed good to them, and not only to them, but to the Holy Spirit.
Exactly. So now if he's addressing it again in 1 Corinthians, the 8th chapter, why do you think he's addressing it again in 1 Corinthians, the 8th chapter?
Paul is totally contradicting what the council was.
No. I ain't saying no. That's not my. I ain't saying. I'm not talking about whether you believe he contradicting or not. If they already talked about it in Acts 15, why is he talking about it again in Corinthians, the 8th chapter?
Those are two different locations.
But why is he talking about it again? Just think, they traveling back and forth. So they bringing the message of what they did in Acts, what they did in Corinthians, Galatia. They know, they all know. So why is he talking about it again if he already talked about it in Acts, the 15th chapter? If you can get this, you'll understand he's not telling them to do it.
He's writing a letter
to the church at Corinthians,
Right.
and telling them about love. If you want to, this is love. He showed, like you said, the first thing he talked about is charity.
Okay, so
Now he said that you have liberty. He says that you have liberty in Yeshua, and your liberty, don't let them be a stumbling block before your brother. So one of the stumbling blocks was these meats offered to idols. That would be a stumbling block to your weak-minded brother who don't understand that an idol is nothing.
So now here's what I'm gonna do. So here's what I'm gonna do, and then we're gonna start taking calls. The reason why he's bringing it up again, Ak, is because they were still eating the meat. That's why he was bringing it up again. So now he has to tell them, stop eating the meat. Yeah, you have the knowledge that it's not an idol, that it's just meat. But this brother that's weak, he don't have that knowledge. And you're sinning against him. The fact that he says it's a sin against your brother is letting you know it's not just a sin against you, it's a sin against your brother too. That's why he said knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth. So the reason why he's talking about it again is because they doing it again. Now, to like I said earlier, to avoid
that makes perfect sense. I agree with you on that. I agree with you that they were doing it, but if you notice, why didn't Paul just said, "Hey, that's."
Hey, brother.
Hello?
Yeah, like I said, that was going to be the last response because we got calls that we're going to take. You was definitely an excellent.
Okay.
You was definitely an excellent combatant in the sense of having an excellent decorum. We could definitely do it again at another time. Maybe we have different subjects, or we can continue the same subject, however you feel. So with that, we're going to end this debate. I'll give you a minute if you want to close out, make a closeout statement, and then we'll take, we'll go back to our normal schedule, taking calls. All right. So you can close out. You can let them know who you are. You can let them know where they can find you if they want to check you out. You have the ability to do that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. My name is Ezra Maxberry. I just started a YouTube channel. It's called Karaite Israelites for Truth. Karaite is spelled Karaite, Israelites for Truth. I just started a video. I'll be doing one every week. And I like to say that I do appreciate these brothers. They showed me great hospitality. I thought they were going to be rude, but they were super. So I give them brothers that.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that for some reason. Everybody thinks that for some reason. Yeah, I was going to say everybody thinks that for some reason. I don't know why, but you can finish.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. These brothers showed me great hospitality, and they got nothing but thumbs up as far as the way that they treated me. They treated me like a brother in their house. So I appreciate it, and I thank you all very much. And study what we talked about and decide for yourself, because I believe that's what these debates are. They so much for the listeners to study for themselves and see what both parties said. And thank you once again, brothers.
Hey, no problem, brother. You take care. I would always suggest you get in class so you can learn. And I hope when you go back and watch this, you'll see what I was saying about 1 Corinthians 8. You have a great day. We're going to go ahead and take some other calls. So I'm going to mute you, or you can hang up. All right? Shalom, brother.
Okay.
All right.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Let's get those likes up.
All right. 973-573. You're on Cross the Line Radio. What's your name? Where you calling from? I just grabbed the random one.
Oh, okay.
Shalom, Cat. It's D from North.
What's going on?
I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. No sweat.
I'm just listening, man.
All right,
I'm just going to listen in.
No sweat. I got you. We put you on mute. 914-222. You're on Cross the Line Radio. What's your name? Where you calling from? They gave me the power. No, don't want to say nothing.
Let's do this.
You got it? Okay, you got it.
914-222.
914. Oh, slacking.
914-222. Who's this?
This is Priest Officer Shah from Canada.
What's going on?
What's going on? You got a question or comment?
Yeah, I have a question. In Genesis 7 and 2, right?
You can get this one.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
When when they talk about the unclean animals and the clean animals, right? So when you say like a pig now, a pig would be an unclean animal, so they say male and female, right?
Gone.
What I wanted was to know, right? What I wanted was to know about when coming to the unclean animal, right? They say by 7, male and female. So a goat to a lamb, right? That would be a clean animal. So I wanted to know if it was 14. If it was 14, like lamb or a goat of every of the clean animal went in there.
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
I would say 14.
I think that makes sense. I never looked at it like that.
Yeah, you asked a good ass question, man. I'll ask the general about it, but I would say it would be 14. But to be, scripturally correct, I'll check with the generals and then get back to you.
Yeah, let me make sure. I don't want to just say that on the fly.
I don't want to say that.
Yeah, and then be wrong. Sure. But I would imagine that makes more sense, right? Because the male and female, 7 of them, which would be 14, right?
It says male and female.
Can.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, but I believe that's what it's saying. But we'll confirm.
Yeah, we'll check the math.
I mean, it wouldn't make sense for it to be like just 7 of them uneven.
It would.
You know what I mean?
It really would. It really would.
Yeah.
Was there anything else out? But we'll definitely check. I'll check with you.
Yeah, that's it for the night.
All right, don't sweat out. We appreciate it.
First time talking to her and things. So, hope I meet up with her. I have to talk more again too.
Gone. All right, so I'll check with General, and then you should have the answer by Monday's class.
Okay, no sin.
All right, no sweat. Shalom. Yavashim Shabakta.
Hey, Shabakta.
Yavashim Shabakta.
Hey, Yavashim Shabakta.
Hey, Shalom. 662-244.
Shalom, Yavashim Shabakta.
Shabakta. Who's this?
This is Police Officer of 1,000, Officer Zion, calling from ISUBK Mississippi Camp.
What's going on,
Like it, sir. Nothing much. I had one comment for Salakia, for Captain Tazaryach, and I got one question for Captain Chaataza.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Which one do you want me to do first, sir?
Whatever you want out.
Okay. This to you first, Captain Tazaryach. One comment to you is that I used to love getting on the phone and watching you debate Muslims and Christians and Buddhists and African Bambaataa. I used to love to watch the debates that you did, but now when I watch you battle the Christians, it's like watching Mike Tyson pistol whip a 15-year-old blind retarded kid with his hands tied behind his back.
That's funny, man. That's funny, man. That's funny. Well, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's crazy, sir. I still do it just so I can sharpen up every sword that I got in my arsenal. But it's not even really fun no more. It's like class. Watching you battle Christians is like class.
That's how it's supposed to be. And then you go out there and teach class, the same class we all teaching and we all learn from Commander General on down. You know what I mean? And we're going to have to do this till Christ return. So sometimes I'll be having to, build myself up to even do it. But you know what I mean? You keep it up and you be ready to rock and roll, all right?
Then I want to sir, and I just keep on watching you because I want my debate skills to be just as sharp as yours is.
I would watch General Muhammad. I would watch General. I would definitely watch General Muhammad.
2 hits.
I would definitely watch General Muhammad and them as well, because they're the debater of the debaters. I would definitely do that.
Going out of one con.
No sweat. You had something for Chaataza too, right?
So why don't you, sir? I got a question for Captain Chaataza.
Go ahead.
What's going on?
Hey Cap, I tried to get in contact with you. I need to know, sir. I need you to tell me what is the proper protocol to get one of my songs on Bump It or Dump It.
You just send it to crossthelineradio@gmail, and then when we do a bumper to dump it, we'll play it. We don't do them every week, but the next one I could throw you in the queue for it.
Okay, one concert. The water, sir. I got something I want you to really hear, sir. So as soon as I'll stay posted, and I really want to get something out, sir, on the bumper to dump it line. So I'll do exactly that. Get on crosstheline.com and I'll make it happen. The water to you, Captain. I'm Chimash Rocky to you and Captain Chaataza, Captain Chaataza and Captain Tazaryach. And that's really all I had to say. Shalom, how about Shimei Rocky Thumb?
Hey, Shalom, yo, some Shabbat. What's the petition?
All right. 809-812.
Yeah.
He the DJ. That's okay.
809-812. Shalom, who's this?
This is Juan Gonzalez. I got a question about my question is I'm calling from DR. I'm Juan Gonzalez. So my question is that I wanted to find out if the Lucifer and his demons got power just to without God to kill or to do something without God's permission.
Okay.
And hold on. And where, right? Because one time, I don't know if I got the wrong information, but he had demons on the inside that do the bad work to him, and then he got the angels on the inside that protect. So I just want to confirm. I'm really asking. I don't know.
All right. So one, there's just a couple of misconceptions you brought up, right? For example, one, Lucifer is not an angel. Is not a fallen angel. Lucifer is not even a spirit. Lucifer is a man. When you go to Isaiah, the 14th chapter, when it talks about Lucifer, right? So I'm going to go to Isaiah 14:12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weakest the nations? Now, first, what you got to understand is that this whole chapter is talking about the restoration of Israel, right? So when you start in the beginning of this chapter, it gives you the entire context. It talks about how the Lord is going to have mercy again on Jacob, and that those who took us captive will be captives unto us, and we will rule over our oppressor. When you continue to read on, for example, Isaiah 14:4, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Lucifer is the king of Babylon. You understand? And what it's talking about is Babylon and their rulership collapsing. And it continues to say the Lord had broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. So talking about the ruling class of Babylon being destroyed. So that sets up the entire context about what's happening. So if I drop back down, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? It's talking about the one who's shining in the earth. Who's shining in the earth? The ruling class of Babylon, the king of Babylon. How art thou cut down to the ground? Who's going to bring you to a low estate, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. And that's what they do. That's what they do inside Babylon. They try to climb to certain heights. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Now, not only is this the stars of God in the sense of that they want to build space stations and exploration and go to Mars and so on and so forth, but the stars of God is Israel. They want to exalt themselves above us. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. You understand? And that's what happens today. They rule over the congregation, right? Which is Israel. I'm going to drop down to verse 16. It says, they that see thee, still talking about Lucifer, the king of Babylon, shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man? Is this the what? Is this the man that made the earth to tremble and did shake the nations? This is talking about not only one man, but if I drop down a little further just to give you some context for time's sake, verse 21, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess land nor fill the face of the world with cities. And I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon. Once again, this is what we've been talking about the whole chapter. Right. The name and remnant and son and nephew, meaning this is a family. There are descendants here. This is not just talking about one man. This is talking about a people. What people? The upper crust class and race of people that's ruling Babylon. So Lucifer is not a spirit or a demon. Lucifer is a man with the spirit of Satan, and that is the so-called white man, our oppressor.
Okay, so about the angels on the right-hand side and the ones that on the left, do I got that wrong also? You know, the idea?
Okay, yeah, the idea and concept that you have, it comes from Christianity. It comes from the idea of fallen angels. When angels obey the Most High perfectly, including Satan. So, for example, I'm going to take you to the book of Job. If we go to Job, and I'm going to start at verse 6. Now, there was a day when the sons of God in this context is talking about the angels, came to present themselves before the Lord. And Satan came also among them. If Satan was cast out, if he was chained in everlasting darkness, you understand, what the hell is he doing up here with the sons of God talking to the Most High? And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth. To and fro where? You understand? Meaning he's going in the earth, he's coming back. He's going in the earth, he's going here in the earth, he's going there, and he's coming back. And he's giving a report of what he's doing and walking up and down in it. And the Most High said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job? Meaning, did you test Job yet? That there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that fears God and escheweth evil. He stays away from evil, he's perfect, he keeps the law, statutes, and commandments, he obeys me. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, doth Job fear God for naught? I mean, do you fear him for nothing, no? Hast not thou made a hedge about him, meaning he's protected, and about his house, and about all he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth now thy hand, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And how is the Lord going to send forth his hand? What is going to be the hand of the Lord in this context? And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. Meaning what? Not only did he give Satan an order, but he gave him a stipulation in the order to follow. And Satan obeyed it perfectly, because no angels disobey the Lord. You understand? These angels, you understand, meaning these beings that the Most High made, you understand, that are not terrestrial, that are not like us, that are not flesh and bone. They obey the Lord perfectly. There's no such thing as fallen angels. That's an excuse to do two things. One, so that this way we don't blame the man who's murdering us. We look to some invisible force as the enemy. Right. And two, you understand, that we make an excuse for our own shortcomings and sins. Right. That we decide to say, well, you see, angels couldn't even obey. How could we obey? No, angels do obey, and we ought to do the same.
Right. Right. So that means, does he have bad angels that are ready to do, to obey, or no?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why when you see Saul, and in terms of bad angels, this is what I want you to know. There's no angel that's bad. There's angels that have jobs. And their jobs is to test you to see if you will be bad or good. Right. You understand? So, for example, when Saul lost the spirit of the Most High, and there was a spirit that went on him, it said, an evil spirit from the Lord. Meaning the Lord sent that spirit to torment him. The Lord sent that demon. Because there's a hierarchy. You understand? There's literally rank in heaven. and it's a military ordered structure, and they all obey the Most High.
Right. Okay, I got it. You know, much respect to you guys, man. And the guy that was talking on the phone before, you guys be beating these dudes up like Mike Tyson, man. And then
Most High in Christ.
You know,
appreciate that.
They should call up and ask questions, man. I mean, it is what it is. All right, thank you, man. Shalom.
No sweat. Shalom up. And with that, good.
And with that, don't forget about the ISUPK annual East Coast Cookout happening August 21st on Randall's Island. The link to donate to the GoFundMe is being put into the chat right now. So if you mess with the ISUPK, you like what we do, you want to be part of feeding our people, helping our people, make sure you donate to the GoFundMe. All right, shalom.
Shalom.